We've seen a lot of no calls over the years, and many of them have completely changed the outcome of games. They are an inevitable part of the sport because the referees are only human and can mess up. Still, there have been a few calls over the years that left us frustrated. In this video, we're going to list the worst no calls in NBA history. First up, Amir Johnson's big no-no. For this specific play, it seems like the NBA official forgot the most basic rule in basketball: don't double dribble. In the first quarter of the Toronto Raptors home game versus the Portland Trailblazers, Johnson took a single dribble to his right after receiving a pass near the top of the key. He took a brief pause before pump faking a jumper, which J.J. Hickson, a defender, strongly contested because Johnson would not get by him on a drive. But Johnson actually did just that. He dribbled once more, breaking every established rule of the game, and made enough room for a quick jump hook over Hickson. As soon as he scored, Johnson ran back down the court and could be seen chuckling in disbelief when the player realizes that he was at fault. It makes you wonder what the three NBA referees were looking at if they weren't focusing on the game. Moving on, Morris Peterson gets slapped and dismissed. During a regular season game between the Raptors and New Jersey Nets, Morris Peterson and Vince Carter manned each other throughout the majority of the game. The game was going pretty well for both teams, until Carter slapped Peterson on accident during a dead ball in the second quarter. Peterson, of course, retaliated, and this is where things went south for the player. While the referees missed the first slap, they were able to see Peterson hitting back and decided to dismiss him from the game. Despite constant complaints that Carter was the one who started it, the referees were listening to no one. Thankfully, the NBA did not give fines of both players, and they were able to move past the incident. Up next, LeBron James fails to deliver. This is one of those rare occasions where LeBron James disappointed fans. In a match against the Washington Wizards, James not only committed a foul by traveling, but he also missed a layup. It seems like the basketball gods intervened when the officials failed to give a fair decision regarding the foul. Later on, James made up for it with a brilliant fadeaway three-pointer that sent the game into overtime. If the referees had called the traveling, would the Cavaliers still have one? Maybe. With how talented both teams were, the game might have gone either way. Following up, Kevin Durant's amazing save. Kevin Durant got away with probably one of the most blatant out-of-bounds ball saves, and we have to give him credit. It takes guts to even attempt something like that. Not to mention, it's even more difficult to actually get away with it. As Durant runs after the ball, it goes out of bounds, but he wasn't going to let that stop him. He touched the ball back and threw it to Curry, who landed an amazing shot, getting the Warriors their 2-point lead. While the NBA officials did not penalize Durant, James Harden took matters into his own hands and triumphed in overtime with a last-second game-winning shot. Not to mention, Meta World Peace's not peaceful play. Meta World Peace may not have the best reputation in the NBA, but you have to give the guy a break in this situation. Meta was only trying to stop a fast break layup when he crashed into Tabosefolosha and sent the player flying to the floor. You can't really blame Meta, considering he is a tall and beefy guy, but alas, the referees disagreed. Meta was called for a flagrant foul and was given a technical foul after he butted heads with the officials. Did Meta deserve a foul? Probably, but it's a stretch to label this a flagrant offense when he was just making a play on the ball. The Oklahoma City Thunder went on to win the match, eliminating the Lakers in the second round of the playoffs for the second consecutive season. Now for Keon Dooling's aggressive gameplay. Keon Dooling is known for being an extremely aggressive player. Once he gets in the zone for lane driving, he doesn't mind picking up a hard foul or two as long as he accomplishes his goal. But you would think he'd be a little more considerate towards his own teammates. The Pistons bench got extremely irritated when Dooling's teammate Marcin Gortat was fouled after Dooling collided with him. While his rough play is concerning, the fact that the referee was only 10 feet away and still made a bad call is even more so. Up next, Paul George loses his chance to shine. Just bringing up this particular call in front of basketball fans is like rubbing salt in a wound. The Utah Jazz was up 3-2 in the series, meaning the stakes were high for Oklahoma City Thunder if they wanted to stay in the league. With just 24.7 seconds left in regulation, the Thunder were trying to tie the game after taking a timeout. Steven Adams sent the ball to George, who found himself facing Gobert one-on-one. George threw up a pump fake in a desperate attempt to get rid of the opponent, and Gobert actually fell for it. Gobert struck George, but no whistle was raised, denying George the chance to attempt to tie the game from the foul line. Moving on, Dirk receives a foul for allowing Wade to elbow him. The Mavericks had their backs against the wall going into Game 6 of the 2006 Finals, after losing 3 straight times to the Heat despite winning the first 2 of the series. To Dallas' credit, they made a great effort. Although Dirk Nowitzki had a fantastic game with 29 points and 15 rebounds, he finished the game with a costly foul. After making a major pump shot, Dirk returned to the field only to receive a blocking penalty. That too, for getting hit by Dwayne Wade's elbow. Wade extended his left arm into Nowitzki's chest, resulting in a highly disputed foul. If the referee had actually listened to the players and given Wade the foul, Miami would have had free throws and might have secured their first NBA championship. Let's look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's insane luck. In the best-of-7 series, the Pistons were leading by 3-2 going into this game, with the game on the line and the Lakers behind by only 1 point, 102-101, with 27 seconds left. LA made the obvious decision to turn to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Abdul-Jabbar went against Bill Laimbeer when he attempted a hook shot that clanked off the rim. Instead of the foul being called on Kareem, the referee called it on Laimbeer, who already had 5 fouls. Abdul-Jabbar played fantastically throughout the game and landed both of his decisive free throw attempts, which gave the team the lead they needed to win. Following up, did the Spurs rig the 2007 semifinals? This game was honestly just filled with no calls after no calls. There were even rumors of the game being rigged, with how the referees were turning a blind eye to certain things. Both the Spurs and Suns had an amazing year before they went head-to-head in the 2007 NBA Western Conference semifinals. It was a tough match since both teams were desperate for a chance to go to the NBA Finals. The Spurs benefited from an absurd number of calls, mainly in the fourth quarter. They made 9 more free throws than the Suns, and several of the fouls that were called during the game were rather confusing. Amari Stoudemire only played 21 minutes in this specific game due to foul issues. Steve Nash received many hacks, and there were lots of technical fouls due to the strange no calls. This game was probably one of the biggest scandals the NBA had to deal with since the drug controversy in 1978. Finally, the controversial Lakers game. The NBA's PR team still has nightmares about this entire game. It's clear who the referee wanted to win that night based on disgraced ex-referee Tim Donaghy's claims that the NBA was encouraging officials to manipulate particular games. In a showdown of 2 star-studded powerhouse teams, the Kings led the best-of-7 series by a score of 3-2 going into it. Donaghy went on to say that the NBA officials loved the series so much that they were willing to sacrifice very good officiating to extend it by 1 more game. In total, the Lakers made 40 free throws compared to the Kings' 25, including 27 in the fourth quarter alone. Kobe Bryant elbows Mike Bibby in the face despite there being no call. Shaq was shoving Vlade Divac around and getting flagged for a foul. The historic Game 6 was one of the worst officiated in history. Of course, anything Donaghy says should be taken with a grain of salt. That's a wrap for this video. Which call do you think was the worst one? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.